Hello everyone, this is Sai Sri and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will explain you an important question, 8 mark question for first year physics from work energy and power. So the question is, what are collisions? Explain the possible types of collisions and develop the theory of one-dimensional elastic collision. This is very important question which I have repeated in March 3, September 4, March 7, May 7, 18 TS, 19 AP, TS 20 and AP 20. So it is very important. So if you read this 8 mark question, you can cover both 8 mark and the 4 mark question also. So the 4 mark question will be asked as develop the theory of one-dimensional elastic collision, or show that in case of one-dimensional elastic collision, the relative velocity of approach of two colliding bodies before collision is equal to relative velocity of separation after collision. So if you read this question, you can cover two answers. So 4 mark answer will be the answer of this question. So first we have to write what is meant by collision. So collision definition can be expressed in two ways. So the first one, easy one, you can write any one, they will give you marks. So the first one is, a collision is a strong interaction between the particles. So there is an interaction between the particles with or without contact when there are no external forces. So this is one definition of collision. Or you can also write a strong interaction between bodies in a very short interval of time involving exchange of momenta is called collision. So it is an interaction between a short time. So in a short time it will take place by exchanging the momentum. So momentum will be represented as P, that is equal to mv. Now types of collision. So if you write this, you will get 1 mark. And there are two types of collisions. They are elastic collision and inelastic. Let us see elastic collision. So the elastic collision is the collision in which both momentum and kinetic energy are conserved. So this is known as elastic collision. So here momentum and kinetic energy are conserved, means saved. So for example, collision between gas molecules and collision between fundamental particles. Coming to inelastic collision, the collision in which only momentum is conserved. So only here momentum is conserved but not kinetic energy. So only momentum is saved but not kinetic energy. So this is called inelastic collision. Example is collision between two vehicles and collision between a bullet and its target. So if you write the definition and types of collision and examples, you are going to get about 3 marks. Now let's go to the four mark question as well as this 8 mark question. So that is one-dimensional elastic collision. So first of all, you have to consider two spheres of masses m1 and m2 moving with initial velocity. So the initial velocity, starting velocity is u1 and u2, speed u1 and u2, and let us assume that m1 is more than the m2. So m1 has more mass and u1 is greater than u2. Velocity of first one is more. Undergoes an elastic collision. So they undergo elastic collision. So after collision, the velocities are changed into v1, v2. So you have to draw the diagram. This will carry you 1 mark if you write all this matter and diagram. So this is before collision. So diagram is must and should. This is the mass of first body and this is the mass of second body. m1 is greater than m2. This is the velocity u1, initial velocity, and u2. So this is during collision. This is after collision. So after collision it was changed into v1 and v2. So from the law of conservation of momentum. So the law of conservation of momentum tells us total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. So that is, momentum formula is P is equal to mv. So the initial velocity m1 u1 and m2 u2, that is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. This is equation number 1. And m1 u1, now send this m1 v1 this side. Here it is doing addition, so it will become minus m1 v1, that is equal to m2 v2 minus m2 u2. take m1 common. Here u1 minus v1, that is equal to, here take m2 common, m2 v2 minus u2. This is equation number 2. Now from the law of conservation of kinetic energy, what is the formula of kinetic energy? Of mv square. So that is of m1 u1 square plus of m2 u2 square is equal to of m1 v1 square plus of m2 v2 square. Now take of common. Of get cancelled. m1 u1 square plus m2 u2 square is equal to m1 v square v1 square plus m2 v2 square. Now send again m1 v1 square this side and m2 u2 square this side. Now take m1 common. u1 square minus v1 square is equal to m2 v2 square minus u2 square. Now you have two equations, that is equation number 2 and the equation number 3. Now what you have to do is divide equation number 3 by 2. So the equation number 3, m1 u1 square minus v1 square. Equation number 2, m1 u1 minus v1, m1 u1 minus v1, and m2 v2 square minus u2 square by m2 v2 by u2. Now m1 cancel. Here m2 cancel. Now we have u1 square minus v1 square by u1 minus v1. That is equal to v2 square minus u2 square by v2 minus u2. Now we know the formula a square minus b square is equal to a plus b into a minus b. So apply this formula, u plus v1 u1 minus v1 by u1 minus v1. Now u1 minus v1 get cancelled. Here v2 minus u1 get cancelled. Now we have the equation u1 plus v1 is equal to v2 plus v4 u2. This is equation number 4. Now the main step. So up to here the 4-mark question will be completed. And the next, they also asked to find the velocity of first body and the second body. So from the fourth equation we have, now send u2 this side. It will become v2 is equal to u1 v1 minus u2. So we have v2 is equal to u1 plus v1 minus u2. Substitute this v2 in equation number 1. So equation number we have, that is m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2, which we got here. Just you can write this, and you can write the value of v1 is equal to m1 minus m2 by m1 plus m2. m1 plus m2 into u1 plus 2m2 by m1 plus m2 u2 directly. But if you want the calculation part, you can also write this here to here. But in examination point of view, if you write, just substitute v2 equal to u1 plus v1 minus u2 in equation number 1, and directly you can write the v1 value by solving. So you can simply write by solving. Up to here you have to write, and then you have to write v1 is equal to m1 minus m2 by m1 plus m2 u1. But if you want the calculation part, let us see it. So you have to substitute v2 here. Then substitute u1 plus v1 minus u2. Now we have m1 u1 plus m2 u2, m1 v1 plus m2 u1, m2 v1, m2 u2. Now send this minus m2 u2 this side. So it will become plus m2 u2. So m2 u2 plus m2 u2, it will become 2 m2 u2. Here take m2 common. Sorry, v1 common. Velocity v1 common and m1 plus m2 u1. m1 u1 plus 2 m2 u2 minus. Send this m2 u1 this side. m2 u1 is equal to v1 m1 plus m2. Here take u1 common, these two. So u1 m1 minus m2 plus 2 m2 u2, that is equal to v1 m1 plus m2. Divide this m1 plus m2 this side. So here it is multiplying. When it comes this side, it will multiply. Sorry, divide. Here it is multiplying. When it comes this side, it will divide. So u1 m1 by m1 minus m2 by m1 plus m2, and 2 m2 u2 by m1 plus m2 is equal to v1. So by rewriting, we can get V1 is equal to M1 minus M2, M1 plus M2 into U1 plus 2M2, M1 plus M2 into U2. This is V1. You can write directly by solving, and you have to write. This is very compulsory. So here you can get 1 mark. Now V2. We find the value of V1 by taking V2 as substitution. Now let us find the V2 value by taking V1 as substitution. Now again from fourth equation, U1 V1 is equal to V2 U2. So from this V1, send this U1 this side. V1 is equal to V2 plus U2 minus U1. Substitute in equation number 1. So this value we have to substitute in equation number 1. So by substituting the equation 1 by solving, we can get V2 is equal to 2M1 by M1 plus M2 into U1 plus M2 minus M1 by M1 plus M2 into U2. This is V1 and V2. If you write this equation, you will get 1 mark. So there is no need of calculation part. For understanding purpose, I have written here. So how we got this value?